YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and the same opponent that I played last time wanted a rematch, so I hosted one on a open field map, or not necessarily like flat field, it's on Migdol, but you know what I mean, land battle map rather than a city assault. He picked Rome and went infantry heavy, which is not necessarily a bad decision, because cavalry is much weaker versus infantry in this patch, in a grind-out fight. So bringing all these armored legionnaires means that his men are very missile resistant, his men are very powerful, and since I have gone cav heavy, it's now going to be reliant upon me to bring in enough hammer and anvil strikes and hopefully to be able to win the battle, because let me show you the armies. My main line is 6 Carthaginian hoplites. I like this main line for Carthage. It may not be the best, but the reason I like it is because they can fend off cav, and they're fairly resilient in a fight, even though they won't win it in a straight-up fight against most anything. I've got 2 Numidian noble cav on this flank, and then on this flank I'm carrying 2 Carthaginian cav. I'm not real worried about cavalry from Rome, so that's why I wanted a decisive cav advantage. And then I brought these Iberian cav, hoping to get at some of his skirmishers. He did not bring skirmishers like I expected, though. He's got a giant ballista, and I attacked head-on to it, which again is inadvisable. And but he's got all of his infantry here, mostly armored legionnaires. I think he had some first cohort in there, and then he's got this 1 unit of levies. But let me just go ahead and show you what's going on from an overhead. I'm going to surround him quickly with my cav and try and get a quick knockout on the ballista, hopefully from this direction right here. And then I'm going to also try and get a quick knockout on those levies. All the while, I'm going to try and bring up my men, see if I can get him to charge into a hoplite phalanx. My general, I'm trying to keep a little bit safe. You can actually see the little ballista shot here, worrying me because they're getting somewhat close to my general. It does miss, though. You can get your general run amok by these explosive ballista shots, so you got to be careful. So my opponent's levies actually kind of fell back to a slightly more defensive position, and they have armored legionnaires nearby. I didn't want to come within the pillar range of these armored legionnaires just to try and kill levies, so I went ahead and swung wide. And I'm doing the same thing with these Numidian noble cav. I'm going to save their javelins for later, so I do turn off fire at will on their javelins. And at this point, my opponent is not properly defending his Roman giant ballista, so I'm going to kill it. It's not a huge cost of money here. I want to say these guys are like 700 or 800 talents. It's nothing substantial. And ballista are much more inaccurate, actually, in this patch, so it's something to be aware of. They're not nearly as pinpoint accurate as they were before. And at this point, my Numidian noble cav is going to destroy his Roman ballista. And then over here, I did catch his levies, and this legionnaire charged into my Iberian cav, so I'm going to charge them from behind with both of my Carthaginian cav and try and get some quick kills, weaken up their health, and then I'll remove the Iberian cav from this and try and replace him with this mercenary Iberian swordsman, just to get a few kills on the armored legionnaires. I don't expect the swordsman to win. I bring my archers up, put them into heavy shot and open fire. I'm trying, again, my idea is to goad the enemy forward, and it works. And now I'm just going to go into hoplite phalanx, and if he chooses not to charge me, I'm going to keep shooting him with my Cretans. And I've got my elephants nearby. Oh, whoops. I've got my elephants nearby waiting to come in from the flank. He is well aware of my elephants, though. So, anyway, I do have to pull my Carthaginian cav out. It's not a fight you want to stay in, and I'll let these swordsmen stay in the fight and get a few kills. A few kills. They're not going to do great. Along the front line, you can see that my phalanx basically stops his charge dead. His guys will win this fight in the end, so for those of you saying hoplites beat swords, they don't. His legionnaires will definitely win this fight. It'll take longer than it did in previous patches. And here, look, my elephants are about to be within javelin range, so you're going to see me quickly wheel away from them, because I do not want to get pillar tossed at my elephants, so it makes him reform, and I'm going to go for these units that are already fixed. But watch what happens here. My elephants get a nice rear charge. I don't use trample too early, though. And my opponent's going to follow up with these legionnaires. I mean, it's still a devastating charge. Those armored legionnaires get wrecked. My Carthaginian cav come in, get a nice clean rear charge. Again, armored legionnaires are a very strong unit, so they're going to shake this first one off. They'll lose men, and it'll hurt their morale, but they'll shake the charge off. And my opponent uses his armored legionnaires to bog my elephants down right there. And he's successful in it. Over here, I use my Cretan archers to murder his armored legionnaires from the flank while they were trying to finish off my Iberian swordsmen. So, and they decisively won that battle. It was my Cretan archers that destroyed them. And here you can see I'm getting a waiver on this armored legionnaire, even with 100 men left. So rear charges still make a big impact. They're not dead. My Numidian cav is back here avoiding some of his armored legionnaires, and I'm going to go ahead and let them throw their javelins, because there's no enemy cavalry for me to use the javelins on. That would be my preferred target. And here my elephants are starting to get bogged down, and a few of them have actually died. But look, they got 200 and some odd kills, which is totally worth it. That's a lot of Armored Legionnaires to kill with that unit. So that's basically 2 units of Armored Legionnaires that I killed, and that cost justifies those elephants. Unfortunately, it's where my general's at. Shock cavalry would be much better suited to this purpose, but melee cav can get the job done as well. So you're going to see how I'm going to focus hammer and anvil charges. And you can see that my hoplites are being decisively beaten, but because of my hammer and anvil charges, I'm keeping the fight going longer. And again, you can see these Armored Legionnaires, very tough units. They're going to stabilize after a rear charge. Now, I think this has led some of you to believe that melee cav are worthless. I highly, highly disagree. They're not worthless. It's helping turn this fight in my favor. Is it an instant rout? No, it isn't. Here comes my mercenary Numidian cav. Same thing. These guys are not going to have a super punishing cav or charge, but they're going to be a lot stronger in prolonged combat. So I'm actually going to let them stay here and beat down some of these Legionnaires. Numidian Noble Cav are a great flex unit in this patch. I actually really like them. And you can see here that these rear charges actually just paid dividends. The shock effect is still there in the game. The Armored Legionnaires finally routed just because of the morale blow. And then I'm able to pull my Numidian Cav through my own unit, and then let these Legionnaires get caught up on the front of that Carthaginian hoplite. Here I'm protecting my flank while I bring in another Numidian Noble Cav rear charge. So Numidians being used very much how Hannibal used them in real life. Try and deal with the enemy cavalry, which here is non-existent, and then come in for a rear charge. I guess the enemy general was dealt with by my Numidian Noble Cav. But yeah, you can see now I'm in a pretty good position. My opponent has a couple of Legionnaires that were chasing Cav coming in, but they're going to be a little too late to reinforce this fight. And again, you can see his swordsmen really were decisively winning that fight in a one-on-one. It's just that he did not have anything... Well, he had plenty of infantry to protect his back. He was just so worried about my Cretan archers that he quickly committed a lot of his men to combat. And I think the best way to stop my elephants would have been to just turn some Armored Legionnaires and stack them in kind of a ladder formation on his flank, meaning that if I charged one, he would have been able to throw Pilla from his next unit, and so on. And that would have been a good way to fight off my elephants a little bit better. And then he could have just delayed the engagement against my hoplites. Like, when he saw me go into hoplite phalanx, he should have just halted and let his guys throw all their pilum against my men first. And then he should have charged once he was done throwing all the pilum. I'm going to go ahead and single out his remaining units again, bringing my Numidian Noble Cav around for some rear charges into the Armored Legionnaires. So these guys are now going to be completely surrounded. Again, a very tough unit, though. You can see they're getting a lot more kills than my men are. I just have them badly outnumbered and outflanked, because their stats are much better than most of my own troops here. My cavalry do have really nice attack, though, so it does help kill some of them. So that ended up being a victory for me. I hope you all enjoyed it. I think that my infantry line here was obviously extremely inferior to what he brought. And the cavalry I brought is more of a balanced army type feel here for Carthage, just a little bit cav heavy. And that's pretty typical. So my opponent to bring all infantry I don't think was a completely unsound idea, because again, you can see how much stronger infantry is versus cavalry, though it still doesn't outweigh that in my opinion. And someone could say, well, Air, what if they brought all hoplites? Well, I mean, if they had brought all hoplites, it means that they still have less killing power against my infantry, and my archers still could have done a lot of killing. And I would have done the same thing. I would have just moved around with my cavalry trying to find a gap in his lines until I got what I wanted. And the same thing, hoplites do have a nice bonus versus large, but they don't have javelins, which means that you can still do some damage to them with your elephants. And they will be better versus elephants than swords, but still, you can kill quite a few hoplites, I think, with elephants before they take your elephants down. So let's take a look overall at the units. Cretan archers doing what I wanted them to, killing quite a few armored legionnaires. They still had a little ammo left even when the battle was completed. These mercenary Iberian swordsmen did all I needed them to, which is to hold up the enemy for a short time. I was going to use them for rear charges, but my opponent outnumbered me so much with infantry that was impossible. And then my mercenary Numidian Noble Cav clutched out some important kills. This one here you can see took basically no losses, but still got 58 kills. This one here got 85 kills. Took quite a few losses. Carthaginian Cav did a lot of rear charges against armored legionnaires. This is why they don't have a whole lot of kills. But it was the morale effect that you saw. It demoralized the Roman troops eventually, and they routed even though my Cav wasn't getting a ton of kills. So just because you see your Cav not necessarily getting a ton of kills there, be patient with the rear charges. It pays off in the long run. So definitely the rear charges are a lot different than you would have seen in the Lost Patch. The last patch, not the Lost Patch. But they're still very important. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that battle. Heir of Carthage, signing off for now.